Any questions so far? By the way, what do you guys think about Kamala Harris, the possibility of a half Jamaican or a first generation Jamaican um, in terms of Kamala Harris being the presidential nominee for the Democrats, and if she wins, she would be the first ever South Asian or Indian Jamaican American president. What do you guys think about that? Any thoughts?
Sir, night, sir. Sir, for me personally, sir, I care zero, sir, because it's not even really a case where she really acknowledge her Jamaican heritage. So,
So you're saying that she does not even accept her Jamaican heritage. Why you think so? Why you think who told you that she don't accept her Jamaican heritage?
sir, based on me, see, she hardly talk about it. It's like, even though I don't know where her mother and her father are, I don't know a disagreement there, really.
Well, but
Her
you know how
father wasn't in her life, though. He is the one who is Jamaican. He was not in her life. She does speak about her grandmother from Jamaica, but you won't hear her talking much about it because the Jamaican father left. She wasn't born in Jamaica, but the Jamaican father left the mother, so he was never in her life. So I think she may not have spoken about that side much, but we know about it because she says it, or she says things about her grandmother from Jamaica. But he wasn't in her life, so maybe that's why.
there are a lot of Jamaican men who there are a lot of men, especially African American men, Caribbean men, Jamaican men. I mean, I don't know. Well, not that I don't know. I mean, well, you are right. She's half Jamaican and half her mom is from India. Her dad is from Jamaica. He was a professor. He was a professor here in the U.S. In fact, a professor at a top university. I think it was Stanford University, one of the top universities in the U.S. He was a professor there. Um, but yeah, I don't think he was as involved in her life um as the mom was. So probably if he was as involved in her life, maybe she would be talking more about Jamaica. So there we go. That's what's good. And I find that living in the US here, and especially even in Philadelphia, I've met so many people who they said their the father is Jamaican, but they've never been to Jamaica. They don't know their dad, but they hear that, or they've never met their dad. So many people's father lived in Jamaica, but they don't. But there's no connection to the Caribbean. That's a problem. I talked about the importance of immigration was supposed to be part of the escape, part of the hope, where people travel abroad. And then as life become better for them, then they're supposed to make it easier for those behind them. That was always part of the Caribbean thing. The remittances, sending money back, and so, and maintaining and keeping those connections. And I know we have the Caribbean community, but many of these are institutional and organizational. And the problem with institutions and organizations, they're very bureaucratic. Okay, and they don't really they don't do what they're supposed to do, and that is to maintain and to preserve and to extend and expand connections and so on and so forth. And so I believe if diasporan organizations like such as the Caribbean community all over the world and so on, if they were more organized in terms, and they were not as institutional, then probably and focus on helping to maintain Jamaican heritage amongst the generation, because there's generational divide. You have people you have first generation, second generation Jamaicans, St. Lucians or Caribbean people who are far removed. Well, they're second generation, third generation, but they're already far removed from Jamaica. They have no connections That is a loss. That is a loss in some instances, I believe. And we are seeing it play out with this president, with this vice president who is about to be president. And I say many Jamaicans might be saying, well, she's not even mentioning she's from Jamaica. Well, the amount of mention she's giving Jamaica is the amount of investment that Jamaica has made. You know, many years ago, like Merlin Otti used to run for Jamaica, and she stopped running for Jamaica because Jamaica did not provide the kind of investment, the ways that we thought Jamaica was investing, but Jamaica wasn't really investing in their runners, really. Back then, we had a great program, but they weren't actively investing in Jamaicans in the way that they should. And many Jamaicans, many people who should be representing Jamaica, they're not representing Jamaica because we've lost the connections. And I said to you, connections are very important. And so therefore, sometimes as people, we wait until it's too late. Or, we wait until something is happening before we throw we invest in something. Say, for example, Jamaica should have been, as a country, strategically, should have been. And I know I'm an American and I'm going to be voting, and I don't want to seem political. But I'm also Caribbean, and I'm going to make the point that we should have been supporting and investing in Kamala Harris from the get-go, and we should have better programs in terms of finding and connecting Jamaicans. First, I play tennis, and I watch tennis. I'm an avid tennis fan, very involved in tennis. And there's what's his name again? Dustin, from the guy that went to play for Germany. I think he's half Jamaican, half German, but he's always lived in Jamaica. And what was his name again? Was it Dustin Brown, I believe? And he decided to switch and started playing for Germany because Jamaica was not. I know we Jamaicans are limited by money and so on, but there is investments that come in to Jamaica, and the decisions we make in terms of how we divert funding and investments is very important. We should, when we identify talent like Dustin Brown, we should have been investing in him, but he switched and went to play and represent Germany. Go ahead, Kenyatta.
Evening, sir. No, it's something that you said earlier, and kind of sits with me quite frequent.
Yeah.
And the only thing that keeps coming back to mind, the only thing that keeps coming back to mind is duty. And I've seen and I've heard lots of talks.
Yeah.
Especially when she was selected to be the VP initially. I've heard lots of talk about cultural connection and everything. And I remember I said to someone, a family member, but it's not her duty. As not in the professional sense as being the VP or anything like that, but as an individual, I don't believe that it's her duty to want to rush back to Jamaica and connect to her roots and all of that. It's not her duty, right? And I say this from experience as well because my father is Trinidadian, born, raised until he was a teenager when he moved to Jamaica. My grandfather is Kenyan. I don't talk about these things really. My grandfather is Kenyan. My grandfather moved from Kenya to the United States, 18 years old, because he had an opportunity. His mother moved away from Kenya to the United States to work as a seamstress. And then by virtue of meeting a woman, he got married and moved to Jamaica. Right? And we have had this conversation over and over, and every time conversation come up about your roots, especially because of my name.
Barnaby, right?
No, Kenyatta.
What's your last name?
Barnaby.
But yeah, Kenyatta. Yes, your name. Oh,
Yes, I have a
I
full.
understand why you have Kenya. Okay, I
I
see.
have a
You know,
sorry. I have a
let
full.
me ask you because it's quite
I have
interesting.
a full tribal name.
So, where were you? So, you were born in Jamaica,
I was born in Jamaica.
but your dad is from where?
My father is from Trinidad.
And your mom is from.
My mom is Kenyan American.
So, oh wait, wow, wow, wow. So you are just like what's your name again? Kamala Harris. You are half and half in a
Mm-hmm.
sense. In a sense. So you are Jamaican, yet you have roots in
But it
Trinidad,
was.
but it
I have
doesn't.
roots in. I have roots
Yes.
in Trinidad. My father was born to a Indian and a African, native African, so he was referred to as, and that's why when your former guest was speaking and so forth, I'm like, hold on, because information like this I've gotten first-handed, right? So
Yes,
my
yes,
father
yes.
has always been referred to as a Douglas.
Right.
He's mixed breed.
Yes.
And in Trinidad, that was not allowed back
Yes.
in the day. So when people talk about culture, for example, I have recently switched my name because
What is
living
it?
in Canada, they allow you to switch your name how you see fit,
Okay.
right? And I have a full tribal name. It was coincidental that someone who is also from Kenya, one of my colleagues, found out that I have a full tribal name when she saw my driver's license. And she was like, "Oh, Kenyatta, why do you abandon your roots?" And I was like, "I wasn't born there. I've heard stories. I wasn't born in Trinidad. I heard stories." Right?
I like
Have
I,
I
I
visited
like
this
your
country?
response.
I've visited Trinidad many times. I've never been to Kenya,
Yeah.
right?
You know,
But go ahead, sir.
I love your response because I always say once, this is my famous quotation. Once you label me, you negate me. And I've oftentimes said that while culture is important, culture can be dangerous. While nationalism is important, nationalism can be dangerous. And I talk about the issue of the cosmopolitan. Who must you be? I mean, you would be you should read Homi Bhabha's book, The Location of Culture, because you talk about the cosmopolitan, of which you are. You talk about the Trinidadian being the anarchist. And
Right.
you have
So,
an interesting story. And I say to people, the beautiful thing about doing this course and so on is it's very important to look at the legacy of slavery that has affected the post-colonial and talk about how the issue of identity has affected us. I've oftentimes said the Franz Fanon said the black man is trapped and the white man is trapped. He's trapped because he is forced to be the black man is forced to act inferior, and while the white man is forced to act superior, in a sense. And it's Kenyatta. It's as if Kenyatta or Kamala. What I can't pronounce her name still.
Kamala,
Kamala. Thank you. Is forced to be.
they were forcing her to identify
As if you're being
with
forced
a
to accept
culture
a
where she
particular
may not want to
identity.
be.
As if you cannot, right? And that's one of the problem of culture as well, because you have some people who may be within a particular context or geography or identify with something geographically, but that does not necessarily should speak to someone's identity or personality and so on. Personality and individualism should transcend that. Wow, this. I wish
But
this could
sir, all right, let me,
go ahead.
for example, I've been forced, in my opinion, and this is my word, I've been forced to learn about my Kenyan roots because of my name. And one of the reasons
I
why
like how you use the
I
word.
am,
Very good.
and I'm not afraid to share why I switched my name around. So I go by my middle name in the Jamaican context for persons to understand. I go by my middle name. So I took my middle name as my first name, and then I pushed my first name as my middle name. Why? So, and you probably will understand this more. In Kenya, the name Kenyatta is associated with one of the most powerful families there. They own more than 3/4 of properties there. I've had instances where I've said my name and I've had persons in the room stand to acknowledge me. And the first time this happened to me, I said, "What is this about?" And they were like, "No, we understand the work, the type of work that you do and why you're so involved working with marginalized groups. Because you're a member of this family." And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And they were like, "So you don't know the origin of your name?" "No, my grandfather just gave me the name." "Why you speak like that? How do I speak?" "You don't sound Kenyan." "That's because I'm not Kenyan, I'm Jamaican." They were like, "Well, you have roots in," "But yes, so like, what you are." I'm like, no, hold on. I identify with the country where I was born based on my birth certificate and where I attended school and the culture that I learned and grew up in. That's where I identify with, right? And I've started just really using the term duty. Like I'll say to the person, it is not my duty personally. It is not my duty to want to learn about anywhere my parents came from. I know where they're from, but I don't need to go digging up a rabbit hole trying to find out anything more. So and like the whole thing with her running for president and all of that, I'm like, we are seeing let's stop focusing on the culture. The cultural part of it is important, but let's not turn her identity in a cultural thing. Right? Let's not turn her identity as a woman, as someone who is running for president. Like I'm even seeing this whole conversation online about her being a woman and not having children. How can she be running for president?
Talking about that, yes. But this is
Right.
good.
And I'm not going to like piss me off. So I'm like, I'm actually having a conversation like back and forth on Twitter now with someone because they're like, "Oh, but this and that," and I'm like, "But do you have a child?" "No." "Then shut the hell up." So I have to be careful. Like it's not our duty.
Discriminatory world where people people shouldn't be discriminated. That's a discriminatory language, but now they're trying to fix it up. It's what J.D. Vance, the vice presidential nominee, running mate of President Trump, who actually started the conversation, but now they're trying to twist it up. But let's just continue. But great, this is good. This is good conversation. Thank you so much for contributing those thoughts. I'm going to push forward in this.
Okay. So let me share my screen with you. Oops, share screen.